Hi, I'm Mihira here, a student and a teacher who has been mentoring multiple students for the past 7 years. Today, I am bringing you to the final part of my How to Learn series, a study guide that I have perfected over all these years of teaching and learning that has ensured success for all of my students whom I've mentored till now. If you're interested in all things learning, personal growth, and development, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this content with all those people who you think will benefit from this. Without any further ado, let's get into it. This study guide has three important parts that all work together to ensure the most holistic and effective learning experience. The first part is passion. Passion refers to the drive that you require to do something that you love doing. To do something that you're passionate about, you really don't feel like you need to put in that much amount of effort. That high amount of effort starts feeling a lot more easier to put in. Passion is required when you have to effortlessly learn. So there's a method that I use that is called as consequence building, wherein what I would like you to do is to list down what you're passionate about and create a consequence that drives your learning in this way. Let me give an example. Say your passion is playing sports. You like to play sports. It doesn't feel like you're putting a lot of efforts to play sports. But you really don't like learning. You really don't like sitting and studying for 3 hours. What I would like you to do for yourself, and this requires self-discipline, is to tell yourself that you're going to study for 3 hours and then go play sports for the next 3 hours. Study first, and if you study properly, you get to play. This is what we call as consequence building. For you to do a very strenuous task, your consequence is something that you are able to enjoy. So this is an important part of your study guide. The second part is skill building. Now I've talked into extreme detail about skill building and how to skill build, what are skills, in the previous video of mine. Link to it in the description down below, as well as in the cards right above. The third and the most important part are the tricks to study. Let me show a chart to you. You can see accumulation, assimilation, and retention. And beside it, I've mentioned all of these important points. Studying has a flow of events. It starts off with accumulation of information, then assimilation of that information, and lastly, retention. Over the years of experimentation and trial and error of all the methods that could be used for this, these are the three methods that I would suggest everyone to try out. For accumulation of information, I suggest note making. Make notes in such a way that it aligns perfectly with your learning style. Now, how do you identify your learning style? There was a news article that I had written in my newsletter about learning styles and how do you identify yours. So if you want to know about your learning style, make sure to head on over there. Links are in the description down below. Once you get an idea of that, say in my case, I am a visual learner. I also learn by talking and speaking. So I'm even an auditory learner. So what do I do when I make notes? My notes are very much diagrammatic, and the points that I write is basically my internal monologue. So when I'm reading those notes to assimilate the information, it feels as if I'm talking to myself. Which leads me to my second point, assimilation of information. If you really want to assimilate information, teach a class. I'm really not kidding. The best way that you can assimilate that information is teach a class. Maybe you don't even have to be in front of an audience for that. You could be in front of a mirror or in front of a camera like what I am doing right now. Teaching a class ensures that when you're speaking, you need to make sense. That means that you have to understand the concepts on a much deeper level. To understand those concepts, you need to go through them. To make understanding of them is something that only you can do your own way. So doing these exercises over and over again will ensure that you are able to present your topics, your concepts in a way that not just you, but any common person can understand. That ensures that you have assimilated all the information that you have gained. And lastly, for retention, just like how everyone says, active recall and spaced repetition. The difference that I am bringing in is a way of doing it. I'm pretty sure that you must be knowing about active recall and spaced repetition, but if you're interested in me making a video on it, type it down in the comments below. Active recall and spaced repetition, to make sure that you can do it effectively, just as I mentioned, to teach a class, space out these teaching sessions in such a way that you are able to retain all of that information. That is one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is solving test papers. Test yourself over and over again, space out those testing. This is something that you're making sure that you are able to retain that information. Now note, while doing all of these exercises, spacing out your teaching, spacing out your testing, you are not to refer to your notes. You can refer to your notes once before teaching, but I would suggest you to not do it during that. Otherwise, it defeats the entire point of doing that exercise. This is a technique, my friends, that I have had used for a person who did not study at all in their 12th grade and managed to score about 90%. This technique works for me, for that guy, and for you as well. Now, whatever I've mentioned in this video, we work one-on-one with students in our program that is called as the STEM Student Launchpad. A free webinar that I will be personally conducting is open. Links to register for that is in the description down below. It will be a 30-minute Zoom call with me talking to you people about the program, what we'll be dealing with it, and answering all of your questions. So if that sounds good to you, make sure to head down in the description box down below and register for the free webinar. Also, all that I've mentioned in this video and some more tips and tricks are mentioned in the free PDF down below. Take in my study guide. It won't be available forever. As always, links to my blog and my newsletter are down below. That's it for today. Thank you and happy learning.